Welcome to my vlog, Media Matters. My name is Maria Villa, and today we're delving into the world of media representation, specifically focusing on how different races are portrayed, the media we consume, and how it shapes our worldview, influencing our perceptions and beliefs. That's why it's crucial to examine how diverse groups are represented, both historically and in contemporary media. In this episode, we'll journey through time, exploring the historical context of racial representation. We'll dissect current trends, examine groundbreaking research, and hear from experts who are at the forefront of this important conversation. We'll also share personal reflections on how media has shaped our own understanding of race and identity. By the end of this episode, you'll have a deeper understanding of the power of media representation and its impact on our society.
Yes, we're on the move and no wave of racism can stop us. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop, and I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Now let us dive deep into the topic. Historically, media has often depicted racial groups through a lens of stereotypes and biases. For instance, early 20th century American newspapers frequently portrayed immigrants and African Americans in a negative light. The New York Times, 1905, ran headlines like "Hordes of ignorant peasants invade our shores, fueling xenophobia." The Atlanta Constitution, 1910, frequently used racial slurs and dehumanizing language to describe African Americans, justifying segregation and discrimination. The Chicago Tribune, 1915, published articles blaming immigrants for crime and disease. The Washington Post, 1920, ran editorials advocating for restrictive immigration policies. These biased portrayals perpetuated harmful stereotypes and contributed to social and political unrest. Films from the early Hollywood era often depicted racial minorities in stereotypical roles, which have had a lasting impact on public perception. Early Hollywood films often perpetuated harmful stereotypes about racial minorities. For instance, D.W. Griffith's The Birth of a Nation, 1915, glorified the Ku Klux Klan and depicted African Americans as savage and threatening. Asian characters were frequently portrayed as exotic, inscrutable, or villainous, as seen in films like Fu Manchu, 1932. Native American characters were often reduced to one-dimensional stereotypes of noble savages or bloodthirsty warriors. These stereotypical portrayals have had a lasting impact on public perception, contributing to prejudice and discrimination against marginalized groups. None. Even today, despite progress, media representation of minorities often falls short. While strides have been made, many shows and films still struggle to portray diverse characters accurately and respectfully. Sometimes minority groups are underrepresented or worse, depicted through outdated stereotypes. Think about the countless times we've seen Asian characters as hyper-intelligent nerds, or Black characters reduced to sassy sidekicks. It's a long road, but with more conscious effort from creators and consumers, we can work towards a more equitable and inclusive media landscape. Shows like Blackish and Master of None are breaking barriers by offering authentic and nuanced portrayals of minority experiences. They're tackling important social issues and challenging stereotypes, proving that diverse stories can be both entertaining and thought-provoking. However, there's still a significant gap in representation across the entertainment industry. Many shows and films continue to rely on tired tropes and underrepresent marginalized communities. It is essential to support creators who are pushing boundaries and demanding more inclusive storytelling. Studies have shown a strong correlation between media representation and societal perceptions. A study by Dr. George Gerbner, a communication theorist at the University of Pennsylvania, proposed the cultivation theory in the 1970s. This theory suggests that heavy television consumption can cultivate viewers' perceptions of the real world. In the context of racial representation, this means that frequent exposure to stereotypical or limited portrayals of minority groups can shape viewers' beliefs and attitudes, often leading to prejudice and discrimination. The University of Southern California's research, highlighting the underrepresentation of minority groups in top films, underscores this issue. For instance, in 2019, only 28.3% of speaking characters in top films were from underrepresented racial or ethnic groups. Such limited visibility can perpetuate stereotypes, reinforce biases, and limit empathy. When audiences are primarily exposed to one-dimensional or stereotypical portrayals of certain groups, it can shape their beliefs and attitudes, often unconsciously. This is why it's crucial to advocate for more diverse and authentic representation in media to foster a more inclusive and understanding society. Now we will discuss some expert insights. Ta-Nehisi Coates, a renowned American author and journalist, offers profound insights into the role of media in shaping societal perceptions, particularly for Black Americans. In his critically acclaimed book, Between the World and Me, Coates delves into the complex interplay between race, power, and media representation. He highlights how media can both perpetuate and challenge existing biases, shaping public opinion and influencing policy decisions. Coates argues that media often constructs narratives that reinforce stereotypes and marginalize Black communities. By analyzing news coverage, advertising, and popular culture, he demonstrates how these representations can contribute to systemic inequalities and perpetuate cycles of injustice. For instance, he points out how news media often portrays Black communities as plagued by crime and violence, while ignoring the systemic factors that contribute to these issues. This kind of biased reporting can lead to harmful stereotypes, fear, and discrimination. Coates emphasizes the importance of critical media literacy, encouraging readers to question the underlying messages and to demand more accurate and equitable portrayals of Black experiences. As he powerfully states in his book, to be a Black person in America is to be in a constant state of alertness, a constant state of expectation, a constant low-grade anxiety that dulls the edges of life, keeps the body clenched, the mind restless. By understanding the impact of media on shaping our perceptions, we can work towards dismantling harmful stereotypes and building a more just and equitable society. Another powerful voice in the conversation about media representation is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, a renowned Nigerian novelist. In her insightful TED Talk, The Danger of a Single Story, Adichie underscores how single, stereotypical narratives in media can shape and limit our understanding of different races and cultures. She argues that when we are exposed to only one story about a particular group, we risk reducing complex individuals and communities to simplistic and often inaccurate representations. This can lead to harmful stereotypes, prejudice, and a lack of empathy. Adichie emphasizes the importance of challenging these single stories and seeking out diverse perspectives. As she eloquently states, stories matter. Many stories matter. Stories have been used to dispossess and to malign, but stories can also be used to empower and to humanize. Stories can break down barriers or they can reinforce them. By embracing diverse narratives and challenging stereotypes, we can foster a more inclusive and understanding world. Reflecting on my own personal experiences while growing up, the movies and television shows I consumed shaped my understanding of the world, including my perceptions of different races. Often, the media presented a limited and stereotypical view of people from diverse backgrounds. The lack of diverse and accurate representation left me with a narrow and often biased understanding of the world. The events of 9/11 and the subsequent media coverage significantly impacted my views on Arabs and Muslims. Films like The Siege, 1998, and True Lies, 1994, released before 9/11, already painted Arabs and Muslims in negative stereotypes. After 9/11, this trend intensified. Movies like Rendition, 2007, and TV shows like 24 further perpetuated these harmful stereotypes, portraying Arabs and Muslims as terrorists or radicals. This media landscape, coupled with the post-9/11 news coverage, created a climate of fear and suspicion towards Arab and Muslim communities. To challenge these preconceived notions, I turned to books and academic works. Sarah Ahmed's On Being Included, Racism and Diversity in Institutional Life was particularly influential. Her insightful analysis of institutional racism and the complexities of diversity initiatives helped me to critically examine my own biases and assumptions. By delving into the experiences of marginalized groups, I gained a deeper understanding of the systemic barriers and challenges they face. Through reading and critical reflection, I began to recognize the limitations of mainstream media narratives. I learned to question the underlying messages and to seek out diverse perspectives. This shift in perspective has allowed me to develop a more nuanced and empathetic understanding of different cultures and identities. To summarize, media representation of different races has evolved over time, but significant challenges persist. The way racial groups are portrayed in media can significantly impact societal norms and individual beliefs, either reinforcing stereotypes or challenging them. For further exploration, I recommend Ethnic Minorities in the Media by Simon Cottle and On Being Included by Sarah Ahmed. These works provide an insightful analysis of media representation and its impact on society. It's crucial to support media that promotes balanced, accurate, and diverse representation. Thank you for joining me on this journey of exploring media representation.